Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to learn about target costing. This is a very interesting topic, one of the important topics of CA final, and believe me, it is going to be very simple. Now, what are we going to learn? Why do we need to know target costing? So traditionally, what do? How do we calculate the cost of a product? Or how do we calculate the selling price of a product? We first calculate all the cost, we note down all the cost, we add the profit margin that we need on the product, and we get our selling price, correct? That selling price we divide by the budgeted output to get the selling price per unit. For example, let us say that I am into manufacturing potato chips. Okay, I have a factory set up which manufactures potato chips. I start writing the cost. I calculate all my material cost, all my labor cost, all the overheads, and I get to know that the total cost for manufacturing 10,000 packets of chips is rupees 1 lakh. I need a profit of 20%. So 20,000 is going to be my profit. So what would be the selling price? The selling price would be 1,20,000. Now 1,20,000 is the selling price for 10,000 packets. That means I'm going to sell each packet for 12 rupees. Right? This is what we are doing traditionally. Now under target costing, we are going to take the reverse approach. Why do we need to take the reverse approach? First, now I have decided the selling price as 12 rupees. Now the same packet of the same gram of chips, Lay's and Bingo is selling it for 10 rupees. Do you think I'll be able to sustain the market? Will I be able to stay in the market? Obviously not. I will not be able to stay in the market because I'm selling the similar kind of product at a higher price, which is not acceptable, right? That is why I need to follow the reverse mechanism. Now, how does that reverse mechanism work? Let us say the same packet of chips is sold in the market for 10 rupees, right? Lay's and Bingo is selling it for 10 rupees. I decide that I need a profit of 2 rupees per packet. So what will be my target cost? What should be my cost? My cost should be 8 rupees per packet. That is how we are going to target our cost. That is how we are going to calculate what should be the cost so that our product can stay in the market. We are not going to compromise on the profits. So this is target costing. Let us understand. Understanding target costing. Target costing is a structured approach. Why do we call it a structured approach? Because everything is planned. We are going to do it in a structural manner, in a planned manner. To determine the cost at which a proposed product with specified functionality. What is our proposed product? Our proposed product is the chips packet with specified functionality, whether it is masala chips, whether it is your salted chips, what kind of chips is it? And quality must be produced. When you're focusing on target costing, when you're focusing on maintaining the target cost to reach the target cost, you are not going to compromise on the quality at any cost. Your quality should not be degraded. Now, to generate a desired level of profit, I am not compromising on my profits as well. My profits are going to be same at its anticipated selling price. So whatever selling price you are anticipating, whatever selling price you are fixing, seeing the market trend, from that selling price you remove your desired profit and you get, what do you get? You determine the cost through a structured manner and you try to reach that cost without changing the functionality and the quality of the product. That is target costing. So how are we going to remember this? There are few words that you need to remember. Obviously, there is an anticipated selling price. You are going to minus the desired level of profitability, and in a structured approach, you are going to determine the cost for the proposed product with specified functionality without hampering the quality of the product. That is your target costing. Now, steps of achieving the target cost. There are 8 steps through which you are going to achieve the target cost. What are those 8 steps? First, product requirement and market analysis. What you are going to do? You are going to first go to the market, do a survey. You are going to do a survey. You are going to ask people what kind of product do they require, what is the specification with which they want the product, and also you are going to analyze the market demand and at what price. For example, I will take the chips packet, I will give it to the people, I will ask them at what price, how is the quality of the product, and at what price will they buy such packet of chips. So they are going to tell me, okay, we are going to buy the packet of chips at 10 rupees. So that is how I am anticipating my selling price. The next step is target volume and selling price. So once I have done the market survey, I know how many packets I can sell and at what price can I sell. So after my market study, I find out that okay, I'll be able to sell 10,000 packets at 10 rupees. So this is what I am going to find, this is what I am going to target. I am going to calculate what is my target volume, seeing the market trends. Next is our target cost derivation. I am going to find out what is my target cost. How am I going to find out my target cost? Target cost can be found out by target sales minus the desired profit. So as we were talking about the packet of chips, I told you that my target volume can be 10,000 packets and the people are ready to buy it for 10 rupees. So what is my target sales? My target sales becomes 1 lakh. That is 10,000 into 10. Out of that, I need a profit of 20,000. So what is going to be my target cost? My target cost is going to be rupees 80,000. That is rupees 8 per packet of chips. This is how I am going to derive the cost, my target cost. Now our work is not over. Getting the target cost is easy, but reaching to the target cost is difficult. So let us see how we are going to reach to the target cost. Our next step is calculation of the actual cost. Now we are going to calculate what is our actual cost. Our actual cost we are going to note down. As we did it in the beginning, I am going to note down all the cost and find out what is the cost per packet. So let us say my cost is rupees 1 lakh and I am going to make 10,000 packets. So what is my cost per unit or cost per packet? My cost per packet is rupees 10. After I reach the actual cost, what am I going to do? I'm going to compare. I'm going to compare what? I'm going to compare the actual cost and the target cost. My actual cost is rupees 10 and my target cost is rupees 8. So what is the cost reduction that I need to do? The cost reduction that I need to do is 2 rupees. The actual cost is rupees 10 per packet and the cost reduction which I need to do is 10 rupees actual cost minus 8 rupees, that is my target cost, that is 2 rupees. Still our work is not done. We have just calculated what is the cost reduction that we need. We have still not reduced the cost. So how can we reduce the cost? What are the techniques of cost reduction? There are 2 techniques of cost reduction. One is value engineering and the second is value analysis. So first let us understand what is value engineering. Now, value engineering means you are making such changes in the design of the product that your cost gets reduced. For example, let me give you an example for this. Now, if you see, you don't have floppy or DVDs or CDs in the market, right? Earlier, laptops used to come with those CD drives and DVD drives. Now, if the CDs and DVDs are not there in the market, do you need those drives? No, you do not need those drives, right? So if you remove those drives, if you make specific changes in your design, what will happen? You are going to save money. Removing the CD drive or the DVD drive from your laptop design can actually save 1500 to 2000 rupees. Plus you are not compromising on the quality of the laptop, correct? So what is happening? You are redesigning your product, you are doing value engineering, you are redesigning your product in such a way that there is cost reduction. This is value engineering. If you see here, this had 3 pieces and it cost rupees 0.22. It has been value engineered and got to 1 piece where the cost is 0.1. So this is one way of of cost reduction. The other one is value analysis. So when we are talking about value engineering, we are actually talking about reducing or making the change in the product design. Value analysis talks about making the changes in the product, in the process of making the product. So what you are going to do, you are going to make such changes in the process that your cost reduces. So let me give you an example for this. As we were talking about laptops, let us say laptops goes through 3 processes, process 1, then it goes to process 2, then it goes to process 3, and finally it becomes the final product, that is a laptop. Now, there is a quality inspection check after process 1 also, after process 2 also, and after process 3 also, and then your final product is also done. We do a final check for your laptop before it is dispatched, right? Now, the process 2 is not cumbersome, and we know that there would be very minimal defect in process 2. Maybe 1 or 2 out of 10,000 or 1 lakh units. So do you think it is worthwhile to actually do a product inspection check after process 2? It is not required, right? We anyways have a final check after process 3 also. So that cost can be saved. It is a non-value added service. If I remove that service after process 2, what is going to happen? My cost is going to reduce, right? So that is how you make changes in the process, and because of which there is cost reduction, right? Now, when we are talking about value analysis and value engineering, what kind of questions can we ask ourselves? First, can we eliminate functions from the production process? Like the example which I gave you just now. From process, after process 2, can I remove the step of inspection? If I remove that step, maybe I will have some cost reduction. Second is, can we eliminate some durability or reliability? Let me give you an example for this. Let us say the packet of chips that we are manufacturing. Why are you buying that packet of chips? Are you buying it for the chips or for the packaging? Obviously, you are buying it for the chips. You are not buying it for the packaging. But a proper packaging is required so that the chips do not become stale. They are still fresh, right? So, if that packaging, instead of using a thicker plastic, if I can use a less thicker plastic and still the freshness is maintained, and because of the change in the quality of the plastic, the price gets down, there's no problem about it, right? Provided the chips are still fresh, right? The customer will not have any problem with that. Am I right? Or instead of that, maybe we can try something like the paper bags, paper bag chips packaging, something like that. So if that reduces our cost, we can actually try that, provided the quality of the product is not hampered. Next, can we minimize the design? For example, the DVD drive which we removed. What we are doing? We are minimizing the design. Have you seen that movie Mission Mangal? Mission Mangal is all about your value engineering and value analysis. What are they actually trying to do? They are actually trying to fit in things in lower budgets, in lower space. That is what they are doing, right? What are they doing? They are changing the design of their rocket. They are trying to reach Mars at lower fuel cost. All these they are trying to do. That is the best example of your value engineering and value analysis. What they are doing, they are trying to minimize the design as well. So that's how we can minimize our design and go for cost reduction. Can we have better product design? Again, same thing. Can we substitute the parts? Is it possible that instead of the parts which are normally used, can we use some other part instead of that and make the similar product without changing the quality? If yes, then why not go for it? Can we combine some step? The same way, the inspection step I have combined for process 2 and process 3. So I have combined those steps. Can we take supplier assistance? Now here they are actually talking about the make or buy decision. Now for example, I'm making these laptops, so there is a keypad required for that. Now instead of making the keypad in-house, can I actually outsource it to somebody on a job work basis and get the keypads manufactured, keyboards manufactured by them, and I can install it in my product? If that is less costly, then I will go for the buy option instead of making it in-house. I am not adamant that I have to make something everything in-house only. I can very well buy it from outside if that is if that leads to cost reduction, right? Is there a better way? If there is a better way of doing anything which reduces the cost, we should actually go for that. Next step is production. Now let us say by value engineering, by value analysis, how much money you had to save? You had to actually reduce 2 rupees per unit. By value engineering and value analysis, you could save 1.5 rupees. So are you going to still keep planning and not start the production? No, it doesn't work like that. You cannot spend all your time in production, in planning. At some point of time, you need to start with the production. So it's okay if we have saved 1.5 rupees, 0.5 saving is still left. It's okay. Start with the production. With the production, we'll have more knowledge. We'll see actually how the process is going on, and then maybe we can again work on cost reduction. So there is continuous cost reduction that is going to happen. Obviously, the majority of the cost is reduced in the beginning, in the planning stage itself, but later also there can be few places where you can reduce the cost. So there is continuous cost reduction, and continuously you are thriving to reach the target cost. Next, what are the benefits of target costing? First is the proactive approach. You are taking the decisions now. Before the production, you know what the market is expecting. So you are going to take the decision now only. You are taking a proactive approach. You are taking the first step to actually influence the market. So you are taking a proactive approach. You are not waiting for the production. Next is it eliminates the non-value added service. Like the way I told you, we can actually combine steps. The step after your process 2, the inspection after process 2, it was not adding any value. In 10,000 product, if one laptop is damaged, that also we can catch after process 3. It is not adding any value to a process. So we have removed it. So you eliminate the non-value added services. Next is ensures proper planning well ahead of time. You are doing the planning before you are starting. So obviously, if you have a structure, you have a plan ready, it is always beneficial for you. Next is it helps you identify the better market opportunities. You have already done the market survey. You know whether people like your product or not and what price they are going to buy. The market, the consumer, you are making the consumer the king. You are trying to bring their product in their price. So obviously it is a market driven approach to cost. The consumer has become the king here. Now, what are the problems with target costing? The first problem is that the development process becomes too lengthy. Because you are doing so much market research, you are trying to reduce cost, you are trying to do value engineering, you are going to do value analysis. What is happening? The planning process becomes lengthy, because of which the production which should have started is actually delaying. So you should know where to stop and start the production, where to stop planning and start the production. Next is quality might be compromised. Now, since you are so much focused on cost reduction, what happens? You are trying to reduce the cost wherever possible, and the quality might be damaged a bit. For example, the chips packaging that you are changing. Maybe the quality of the chips is degrading a bit, so you can't take that risk. So you have to be very careful when you are doing target costing. Next is mandatory cost cutting leads to finger pointing. Now what happens? You are continuously thriving for cost reduction, right? Because of which whatever the middle management or low management is doing, you are always pinpointing them. This much, why this much cost? Why so much cost here? Cost reduction, cost reduction, cost reduction. They don't have the freedom to work, and they might feel suffocated there. So that is why cost reduction, it finger points on them, right? It doesn't let them work with the freedom. So that is why we should know where to tell these people for cost reduction and when to let them work. Next is planning requires detailed cost sheet. So obviously when we are targeting on the cost and we are targeting for cost reduction, we need to know all the details of the cost that we are going to incur. If we need all the details, we need experts in that area. And sometimes we are so much into cost reduction that we don't realize that it actually becomes a costly affair to get those experts and reducing our cost, right? So these can be the problems with target costing. Yeah. Thank you for watching the video. You can also subscribe to our channel so that you get updates on the videos, and feel free to contact us for any kind of doubts. We are also there on Facebook, on Telegram, and also the next video would be a question on target costing. I'm going to tell you how we are going to reach to the target cost, how are we going to see the cost gap, that is the gap between our actual cost and your target cost. Do let me know if you would be interested in that video, and I will surely be able to help you on that. Thank you.